Hello everybody, it's Captain Marty Brill here. It is Thursday, May the 8th, and we're rolling into the weekend, and we've got a lot going on. We finally had a pretty day of offshore weather for a change. I'll tell you about that and some other things, including a little bit of breaking news concerning cobia fishing. So stay right where you're at, and I'll be right back.
What could possibly be more fun than watching a bottlenose dolphin swim and play in the water right beside you? Hop aboard Harbor Star Dolphin Tours at Wanchese Marina and witness this remarkable animal up close. The Harbor Star is a spacious 50-foot vessel with a wide, shady canopy that runs 2-hour trips multiple times a day, including a breathtaking sunset cruise. To book your tour, go online to wanchesemarina.com and click Harbor Star Dolphin Tours. See the majestic bottlenose dolphin up close with Harbor Star Dolphin Tours.
Surrounded by water, Currituck and the people of the Outer Banks have been shaped and defined by its rich and coastal maritime history. The Currituck Maritime Museum tells the story of Currituck's boat-building forefathers, their remarkable craft, and the legacy they left behind on how to live life and thrive on the waters of the Outer Banks. Discover the Maritime Museum in historic Corolla Park, across the street from the Currituck Beach Lighthouse, and visit us online at currituckmaritimemuseum.com. Be a part of the local history at the Currituck Maritime Museum.
All right, so down in Hatteras, we had a nice mixed bag of eating fish down that way. That would have been some good catches of some mahi, and I did see some nice gaffers too yesterday. So what I'm talking about mahi, first of all, is dolphin, not flipper, but the fish dolphin, and some people call them mahi, but the bailers, when we say the word bailers, those are the 3 to 8 pounders that are really school size. But I saw quite a few in the 15 to 20 pound range, which means it requires a gaff hook to pull them over the side of the boat. So those are called gaffers. And a dolphin will max out at around 55 pounds. And I mean, it's like a brick wall. There are occasionally a few bigger than that, but that's I think the biggest one I ever caught in my career was 54 pounds. And when we threw him on the deck, there was something hard. We heard his belly make a metallic sound on the deck. So I said, he ate something. I don't know what he ate, but we got to the dock, we cleaned him, and we cut his belly open. And inside of him was a 50 caliber shell casing out of some kind of fighter jet where they had probably shot down a drone or a target or whatever. And that brass, when it hit the water, it was probably sinking, and this big dolphin ate that thing thinking it was a fish, a bait fish. And I had that thing as a souvenir for a very long time, but I've lost it now, so I don't know where it's at. But there's also been a few blue marlin bites down to Hatteras, and that's good because next week, beginning on Wednesday the 14th, we'll be fishing the Hatteras Village Offshore Open. That's going to be their first of 2 major tournaments in Hatteras, about 70 boats. It's a great time to come down and walk the docks. The tournament way station will be at Hatteras Harbor, and the fishing days will be the 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. So you'll have a lot of fun doing that, walking the dock, seeing what's going on down that way. Inshore, they've been having a little bit of action too. They're catching some king mackerel. They also, inshore covers everything from the Gulf Stream to the beach, really. But they're catching some king mackerel, some Spanish mackerel, and they're occasionally this unbelievable sheephead bite. Sometimes it's back in the Sound, which we'll talk about after our break. But mostly, some of them are on some of the wrecks of the ocean too, and some of them are really big. So that's what's going on in Hatteras. Oregon Inlet. I talked to Captain Bull Tolson on the Sea Toy yesterday while he was at sea. Just after 12 o'clock noon, I had chatted with him. He said the weather was beautiful. The tuna fishing was a little on the scrappy side. With 2 to 6 tuna would be average to the boat, and these were yellowfin tuna. But he had just released a blue marlin, and last night when I talked to Captain Dickie Harris on the Fantastic out of the Oregon Inlet Fishing Center, he said about 15 blue marlin were caught and released yesterday out of Oregon Inlet. So the blue marlin bite is on, and right now the tuna fishing is hit or miss. And they're big. The quality's good. A 60-pound yellowfin tuna, 2 to 6 of those will put some meat on the dock. But they also had mahi in their catches. Dickie had 4 king mackerel to go along with some others. There's a scattered blackfin tuna. And a little bit of other stuff going on, really a few sharks. Luckily, though, we're not dealing with the predator sharks that eat the tunas off the hook, thankfully. So that's not happening right now. Back closer to the beaches, along the beaches, here's the breaking news that I promised in our introduction today. It's a good cobia bite, very good cobia bite. Now, a couple people, this information I'm a little more covert with, but a couple people said, well, they were there, but they didn't bite very well. But the person that told me that told me one boat caught 10. So they must have been biting a little bit. 10 cobia, that's a world-class day for most people. But the cobia bite is on in full swing. That's great news. A lot of that fishing is available on half-day boats and nearshore boats. Might be something you want to check into. Really, I love a cobia. It's one of my favorite fish to eat. So you got that going on. And then the pier and surf fishing, nothing too dramatic in that report. Just a nice mix of blues, Spanish mackerel, and mixed drum primarily. When I say mixed drum, I mean most of the size ranges on red drum. From a slot-sized puppy drum right up to some yearlings down on Cape Point. This is all red drum, but we also have the black drum biting too. And some of them have, a big black drum can get up and over 25, 30, 35 pounds without much trouble. And we're seeing a few of them caught too. There's a few small bottom fish. And right now is a great time, especially when the wind lays down just a little bit, to get your kids out on the piers. I really recommend the piers because you'll pay a pier admission fee, but you will not need a fishing license. And even if you don't have, didn't really plan coming on going fishing, you can get out on the pier and they'll hook you up with everything you need, including a rod and reel that they can rent you if you want to get out and do a little fishing there. If you decide to fish in the surf, our local tackle shops will also rig you up with surf combos that you can rent them, but you're better off to buy them. You'd be surprised. A rod and reel doesn't cost that much money, but you will need a fishing license if you're going to fish in the surf. You can get those online, and you can also get them at most of your local tackle shops. So we'll take a little break right here, and I'll be back to talk to you a little bit about the fishing going on in the Pamlico Sound and some other backcountry stuff. So stay tuned.
When it comes to general maintenance or major modifications on your diesel vehicle, look no further than Wanchi's Off-Road Diesel Performance in Kill Devil Hills. Master mechanic Ryan Walker developed the plan for having his own auto shop over 20 years ago, and today he owns the premium diesel performance powerhouse of the Outer Banks. To have him and his crew take a look under your hood, give him a call today at 252-715-0025 or find him on social media. Wanchi's Off-Road Diesel Performance, the diesel performance powerhouse of the Outer Banks.
Backcountry fishing, I'd have to say, is pretty good. Now, again, this is the time of year which specialist fishing is what I call it. You need to have a game plan. You need to put in some time. You need to understand a little bit about how varied the water is in our sounds. This time of year, it changes a lot. It can be almost brackish. It can be very salty on other days, and that's what determines what kind of bite you're going to have. But the sheephead bite I mentioned earlier is just really, my dad would turn over in his grave if he could see some of the sheephead fishing that's going on right now. And I saw one report out of Hatteras where there were, out of a total of 25 sheephead, 6 of them were over 9 pounds. That's a huge sheephead. Really good, firm, white-meated fish. Really hard pulling fish. They get their name, I think, because of their teeth, which look like a sheep's teeth. But that's the fish I grew up catching, taught how to fish for them by my dad. And my dad had this old-time friend of his, real old guy, that was the best sheephead fishing in the area around Ponce Inlet where I grew up in Florida. And he always would say, now, Marty, if if you want to keep a sheephead, there's a trick. If you want to catch one, there's a trick you got to know. And I was all ears. I said, well, what's the trick? He said, you got to jerk just before they bite. I'm like, what? Anyway, he was pointing out how quickly the bite is. It's a thump. It's not like using shrimp for a puppy drum. It's a thump. And when they thump, you better be ready to yank or whatever. But there are guides that do this regularly and do it well. Great way, by the way, to learn how to do it is to go ahead and invest a little money, shorten the learning curve, and get on a charter boat. And try that before you try it on your own. So that is, we talked about the sheephead. There's bluefish, gray trout, and also mixed drum in the sound. So the opportunity is there. You do want to watch the weather, although yesterday was pretty decent. It was our first really day when we didn't have all that southwest wind. So anyway, that's what's going on from the Gulf Stream to the backcountry. And as we approach the weekend, a lot of things happening. So I hope you'll go out and take a stab at doing a little bit of fishing. By the way, everything we talked about was by boat. Well, most everything, except for the surf and pier report. But a boat is not absolutely necessary, especially for the speckled trout bite, things like that. You can do that from the shoreline all over the Outer Banks. So don't use not having a boat as an excuse. Anyway, go out, be careful, have a blessed day.